Imagine, if you will, the sun-scorched plains, those vast scrublands of Tamil Nadu's southern districts. Picture this landscape stretching out, dotted with ancient trees, thorny bushes, and until really quite recently, a small, elusive creature was a common sight there, like a darting shadow. You might have caught just a flash of sandy brown, maybe that distinctive bushy tail, or perhaps just its eyes gleaming in the dusk, moving with a silent cunning. We've been digging into a story from a very specific corner of the world. It's fascinating, but honestly also deeply concerning. So today we're taking a deep dive into this quiet crisis unfolding down there in Tamil Nadu's southern districts, the alarming disappearance of the Indian fox. Our mission really is to try and unravel why this native species of Vulpes bengalensis is fading away from a landscape it once, well, pretty much dominated. We're going to explore its unique nature, its historical place, the really complex reasons behind its decline, which is heartbreaking, and crucially what steps might be or are being taken to bring it back. Because this isn't just about one animal, is it?
It's a story about an entire ecosystem in flux, and maybe even a culture losing a piece of its heritage.
That's right. And we're focusing on districts like Madurai, Viratunagar, Tirunelveli, Thoothukudi. That's where this story is playing out most vividly. The Indian fox, it needs a specific kind of environment. It thrives in that patchwork of agricultural fields, fallow lands, and those thorny scrub areas you mentioned. That's its home.
Right, the scrublands.
Exactly, where it lived, hunted, and, thrived for centuries.
So let's get to know this creature a bit better. The Indian fox, sometimes called the Bengal fox.
Yeah.
It really is a master of the plains, isn't it?
Absolutely. A desert artisan, as you put it earlier.
Yeah. It's smaller than its red fox cousins, quite slender, and it has that wonderful, very distinctive bushy tail. Its coat is this amazing blend, sandy brown to reddish gray. It just vanishes into the background.
Perfect camouflage.
But the real genius seems to be those large ears. They dissipate heat, right?
Yeah.
And those sharp eyes, making it just a perfect nocturnal hunter for that arid home.
And it's a master of survival largely because of its foraging efficiency. It's not a fussy eater at all.
Ah, okay.
Its diet is really varied, mainly small rodents, insects, but it'll eat fruits too when they're available. And that adaptability is exactly why it managed to thrive across so many of India's landscapes, especially these open grasslands and semi-arid regions. It just embodies resilience, which, frankly, makes its current situation even more worrying.
Yeah, if something so adaptable is struggling.
Precisely.
And its significance isn't just ecological, you were saying. It's woven into the culture, too.
Deeply interwoven with rural life in Tamil Nadu for centuries. Farmers, despite the occasional chicken going missing.
Ah, yes. The classic fox move.
Right. But they actually respected its role. They understood it kept the rodent populations down a natural balance and local folklore. It's full of stories depicting the fox as this clever trickster, outwitting bigger predators, even humans sometimes.
Like the Brer Rabbit of Tamil Nadu.
Sort of, yeah. And there are place names, too. There's a place in Tirunelveli called Narikulam, that means fox tank, named specifically because people saw foxes there all the time. It just shows how common, how ubiquitous it once was.
But that image, that darting shadow at dusk, the evidence suggests it's becoming incredibly rare now, almost like a ghost in its own home. We've uncovered some numbers that are, well, they're stark, truly grim, almost unbelievable.
The shift is dramatic, no question. Over the past decade, let's say between 2015 and 2025 roughly, there have only been 3 confirmed sightings recorded in those southern districts.
3 in 10 years.
3. Just think, back in the 1980s, farmers in Viratunagar remember seeing them regularly during harvest. Even into the 90s, sightings were routine. Now, we're talking about one lone fox in Viratunagar in 2017, another in Madurai 2020, and one more in Tirunelveli just last year, 2023. It's not just a decline, it feels, well, catastrophic is the only word.
And you said these numbers aren't just anecdotes, right? There's solid data backing this up.
Absolutely solid. This is based on extensive data compiled by the Tamil Nadu Forest Department. And it's been rigorously checked, corroborated through interviews with local wildlife NGOs, researchers from Madurai Kamaraj University, plus findings from the Wildlife Institute of India, regional biodiversity surveys. So while the Indian fox population might be dwindling across its wider range in India, these southern districts in Tamil Nadu show a particularly sharp, really alarming drop. It points to specific, localized threats, pushing them right to the edge here.
Okay, so the stark reality of their disappearance is clear. The critical question then becomes, why? Why is this happening? We've sort of untangled this complex web of interconnected factors driving this vanishing act.
Right.
Where do we even begin?
Well, the primary culprit, and sadly it's a familiar story in ecology, is habitat destruction.
Right.
Tamil Nadu's southern districts have just transformed incredibly rapidly. Urbanization, agriculture expanding, industrialization, they've completely reshaped the region. There's very little room left for wildlife.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about Madurai city. Its growth. The suburbs spreading out. They've literally swallowed up areas that were prime fox habitat just decades ago. Or look at Thuthukuddi's coastal plains, another crucial habitat. Huge losses there due to port expansion industrial projects.
Just paved over, essentially.
Essentially. And get this, a 2023 study by the Tamil Nadu Biodiversity Board, it revealed that over 40%, 40, of the state's vital scrubland ecosystems have been lost just since the year 2000.
40%. In little over 2 decades. That's staggering. It's hard to even picture that scale of loss.
It really is. A huge chunk of their world just gone.
And on top of losing their homes, there's the impact from farming practices too, isn't there?
Precisely. That brings us to agricultural intensification. The shift to modern, chemical-heavy farming has been devastating for the fox. Think about pesticide rodenticides. They're used so widely now to protect crops. But they don't just kill the target pests. They decimate the small mammals and insects that are the fox's main food source.
So it hits their food chain directly.
Directly. Take Tirunelveli again. The heavy use of rodenticides in the paddy fields there. It's led to a collapse in rodent populations. So the foxes, they have little or nothing left to eat. And this is a key point. Starvation is often underreported. It's a silent killer for these small predators.
So their homes are shrinking, and the pantry is bare.
Yeah.
And then as human settlements push further out, I guess you get direct conflict too.
That's another major factor, yes. Human-wildlife conflict. As settlements expand, tensions inevitably rise. Farmers, understandably, get frustrated if a fox snatches some poultry, and sometimes they resort to extreme measures, poisoning, trapping.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Now, these incidents might not be, happening everywhere every day, but they add significant tragic pressure onto a population that's already incredibly vulnerable. We heard about a specific case back in 2019 in Virudugar. A farmer admitted poisoning a fox he thought was after his chickens.
Wow, that's tough. It highlights the desperation on both sides in a way.
It really does. It's a stark reminder of the difficult interactions at that human-wildlife interface.
Are there other, maybe less obvious threats adding to this pressure?
Definitely. Road mortality is a big one. Our expanding road networks act as, silent killers.
So
Indian foxes are nocturnal. They're active at night, often crossing roads searching for food or moving between these fragmented patches of habitat we talked about. And they become tragic victims of vehicle collisions. It happens all the time.
you don't often think about that for smaller animals.
Exactly. But a survey in 2021 by a local wildlife NGO, they found roadkill accounted for at least 15% of known Indian fox deaths in these southern districts over just a 5-year period.
15%. That's significant.
It's a constant, often overlooked drain on the population. And finally, we can't ignore climate and environmental changes. These southern districts have seen increasingly erratic weather patterns lately.
Like the droughts and intense monsoons.
Exactly. Prolonged droughts followed by really intense monsoon rains. These extremes disrupt the whole ecosystem. They affect prey availability, they affect suitable denning sites. The scrublands, already broken up, become even less hospitable during these events. And this forces the foxes to venture closer to human settlements, desperately looking for food or shelter. And that, unfortunately, puts them at even greater risk.
Okay, so we've laid out the grim picture for the fox itself and the complex reasons why it's disappearing. But let's broaden the view. What happens to the whole ecosystem when a key species like this vanishes? What are the ripple effects?
That's where the story gets even bigger, ecologically speaking. The Indian fox plays this crucial role as a mesopredator.
Mesopredator, meaning?
Meaning it's a mid-level predator. It helps keep populations of smaller animals, especially rodents and insects, naturally in check. So in areas where foxes have disappeared, guess what farmers are reporting?
More rats.
Significant spikes in rodent damage to their crops. And what does that lead to?
More pesticide use.
Exactly. It becomes this vicious cycle that degrades the environment even further, impacting lots of other species too.
So losing the fox actually makes the pesticide problem potentially worse.
Yeah,
That's counterintuitive almost.
it really is. But there's more. The fox itself is prey for larger predators, like leopards and hyenas. Now, their populations are often under pressure anyway. Losing a food source like the fox can disrupt their food chain. It might force those larger predators to target livestock more often or move closer to human areas, which inevitably escalates those human-wildlife conflicts we mentioned.
A cascading effect.
Precisely. And one more thing, foxes play a subtle but important role in seed dispersal. As they eat fruits and move around, they help regenerate those precious scrubland ecosystems.
Wow, I never would have thought of that.
It's all interconnected. Studies from nearby biodiversity hotspots, like the Western Ghats, show that when small mammal populations decline, it triggers these cascading effects. Changes in vegetation, reduced habitat quality for many other species. It's a domino effect, really.
To really bring this home, we wanted to hear from people on the ground living through this. And their voices, they really paint a picture. We spoke to a 62-year-old farmer, Muthuval, who lives near Madurai. And his words were powerful. He said, "When I was young, we'd see them at dusk, their eyes glowing in the fields. They kept the rats away, and we didn't mind them much. Now," he said, "I haven't seen one in years, and the rats are eating my crops." And his story, sadly, seems to echo across these southern districts. It's this poignant reminder of a lost natural ally.
Muthuval's words really hit hard, don't they? They underscore the urgency. We also heard from Dr. Priya Ramanathan, a wildlife biologist who spent over a decade studying small mammals there. She emphasized, the Indian fox is a resilient species, but it's not invincible. She said the combination of habitat loss, reduced prey, and human pressures is pushing it to the edge. If we don't act now, we may lose it entirely from these districts.
Her words really highlight the critical point we're at.
And what of the official side? The Forest Department? We also managed to speak with a senior forest official from Tirunelveli. They preferred to remain anonymous, and they highlighted the real challenges they face. Things like limited resources for monitoring these less glamorous species. They often rely on local reports for sightings, but those reports are now incredibly rare, almost non-existent.
Right, if no one sees them.
Exactly. And the focus, perhaps understandably given resource constraints, often goes to larger, more charismatic animals like leopards or elephants. But as this official pointed out, small mammals, like the fox, are just as ecologically important. It sounds like a really tough balancing act for them.
Okay, so the situation is clearly dire. But despite all this, you're saying it's not too late. There's still hope, there are paths forward, and it sounds like conservationists, policymakers, they're starting to recognize the urgency for, well, targeted action. What does that path actually look like?
Well, a critical first step has to be protecting and actively restoring those scrubland ecosystems. That's fundamental. This could mean designating key fox habitats as protected areas, maybe community reserves, basically restricting harmful development in those zones.
Drawing a line in the sand.
Exactly. And it also means reforestation efforts, but specifically tailored to native grasses and shrubs, the things that actually create those safe havens the foxes need.
Okay, protecting the land, but what about the human element? That conflict issue?
Right. We absolutely need to focus on reducing human-wildlife conflict. That means awareness campaigns, for starters. Educating farmers about the ecological benefits foxes provide, discouraging those retaliatory killings we talked about.
Making the case for coexistence.
Precisely. And compensation schemes for poultry losses could make a big difference. Similar schemes exist for larger predators, why not for foxes? It could significantly reduce tensions. In fact, there was a pilot program in Viratunagar run by a local NGO that was really promising. They simply provided farmers with secure chicken coops.
Secure coops. Sometimes the simple solutions are best, aren't they?
They really can be. It sounds basic, but very effective. Scaling up things like that could be huge.
Okay, what about the farming practices themselves? The pesticides.
That's another key area. We need to push for and support a shift towards more eco-friendly agriculture, encouraging organic farming, drastically reducing pesticide and rodenticide use that could help restore the insect and rodent populations the foxes rely on.
Rebuilding their food source.
Exactly. And maybe expanding government subsidies for farmers who adopt these eco-friendly practices in the southern districts. That could provide the necessary incentive for change.
That sounds like a longer-term goal, but absolutely vital. What about connecting the habitats that are already broken up?
Wildlife corridors. They are absolutely vital for connecting those fragmented habitats.
How does that work?
It means creating safe passages for foxes to move between areas. It could be planting native vegetation along roadsides, establishing green belts between fields. These aren't just, nice green strips. They're lifelines. They allow species to move, to mix genes, to find resources in a landscape that's constantly changing.
Right. connecting the dots for them. And surely local people have a role to play in all this.
Oh, absolutely. Community involvement is key. You can't underestimate the power of local engagement. Imagine citizen science initiatives, residents reporting fox sightings using simple mobile apps. That could dramatically improve our monitoring, give us so much more data.
Getting eyes on the ground.
Exactly. And integrating conservation education into schools, into colleges in places like Madurai and Tirunelveli, that could foster a real sense of local pride in protecting their wildlife. Building that connection for the next generation is crucial. And finally, underpinning all of this, we need more dedicated research and monitoring. It's indispensable. More funding for research specifically focused on tracking fox populations, understanding their precise needs in these districts.
Like using camera traps.
Yes, deploying camera traps, which are already used widely for tigers and leopards, could be adapted very effectively for monitoring foxes. And stronger collaboration between universities, NGOs, and the Forest Department is essential to fill those critical data gaps and provide the solid science needed to guide all these conservation efforts.
You know, the decline of the Indian fox in Tamil Nadu southern districts, it really does feel like a wake-up call for all of us. It's such a powerful reminder that even the most resilient, adaptable species can falter when their world changes too quickly, too drastically around them. This isn't just a story about a specific fox in a specific place. It feels like a mirror, reflecting our own impact on the planet.
It absolutely is. And it raises a really important question for all of us, doesn't it? What kind of future do we actually want to create for our ecosystems and for the creatures living within them? As the sun sets over those fields near Madurai, casting those long shadows, just imagine a future where that sandy brown flash, the Indian fox, darts through the grass once more, its eyes glinting with life. That future is possible, but it really does require action, starting today.
Indeed. Something for all of us to consider, that interconnectedness of our world, the impact our actions have, big and small. There's agency and possibility, and perhaps the power to make a difference is closer than we think.